Welcome to Austin Eras, where we explore Austin's transformation into a 21st century boomtown and the voices shaping its past, present, and future.
Welcome to the Austin Eras podcast. I'm your host, Adam Flagg, and I have an interesting guest today. Her name is Jennifer Storm, and I want to explore a theory with her. What if one of the most important stories in Central Texas isn't actually happening in Austin? Because for a long time, places like Buda, Texas, were where people would move when they got priced out, or maybe they wanted a little bit more space. But something has changed. Buda isn't just where people live anymore. It's becoming a place people choose for work, for community, for identity. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss one of the most interesting transformations happening in the Austin metro right now. So Jennifer, I have an opening question for you. When people in Austin dismiss Buda as just a suburb, what do you wish they understood?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I wish they knew Buda was more than Cabela's. Buda is more than the I-35 corridor. Buda has a historic main street. Buda has a heart and soul. Buda has a rapidly changing workforce, a diverse workforce ready to get to work today. Buda's just really an amazing place to go, but you got to get off of 35 to see what it's really about.
I feel like people's perceptions of Buda are stuck in the 1900s somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think, the Economic Development Corporation, you told me before we started recording, 25th anniversary.
Right.
A lot's changed in 25 years.
That's right.
How's that all happen?
Well, proximity, of course. Everything in real estate is location, location, location. So we definitely benefit by being the first community south of Austin. So that helps for sure. Your point earlier of people getting priced out of Austin, that helped originally, but now it is a community of choice, not just last resort. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that folks started here because they didn't have a choice, but now they want to be there. Our home prices are higher than some of the neighbors in Hays County, to be sure, but it's just changed so much. We had available land 20 years ago that Austin didn't have. Not the case so much anymore as that continues to change. Buda has gone from what you said earlier of kind of a country community to a modern day city. My goal is to move that to a place where people don't have to leave if they don't want to, and we're working toward that every day.
Well, let me tell people a little bit about who you are. So Jennifer Storm is the CEO of the Buda Economic Development Corporation, where she's helping shape one of the fastest growing communities in Central Texas. She was recently named the Economic Developer of the Year by the International Economic Development Council, the first ever Texan to receive the honor. At a time when this state is adding the population of the city of Arlington every single year, Jennifer and her team are helping Buda grow in a way that's intentional, local first, and community driven. So I think I'd love to go right into what our Good Hang segment looks like. I want people to understand a little bit more about Buda before we talk shop. Sure. In a sense. So if someone has 36 hours in Buda, what are we doing? Where are we going?
Yeah, we are doing live music.
Okay.
So some of the things that Austin was known for is moved south. There's a great restaurant in South Austin that has this sign that says, old Austin didn't die, it just moved south. And I think about that a lot of like live music didn't die, it just moved south. And every night in Buda is live music. And so a fourth Friday of the month, I would say come on a fourth Friday and you get to experience the Southbound Music series with Sun Radio. I would start there. We have amazing restaurants, culinary of all types up and down our main street. That is a huge part of our life in Buda is unique restaurants on our main street. And so making sure folks could experience that would be something we would want to showcase in our 36 hours. Farmers market on Sunday morning is one of the best in the regions, and we're really proud of that too. So it's a small town living, lots of trails, lots of parks, outdoor activities. That's definitely a part of who we are every day.
One of my inspirations for the show, and someone that I've really loved to watch, is Chet Garner with The Day Tripper.
Yeah. And
I was doing some research on Buda in advance of this, and I was shocked to see that he covers it here and there, but there's no exclusive episode. So Chet, you're called out.
Yeah.
We need a Buda episode.
Chet. We'd love to see you in Buda. Come on down.
I think there needs to be that. It's so close. So I'd love to see, a lot of times they go on a Saturday. So what's your perfect Saturday in Buda look like?
My perfect Saturday in Buda is Teal House cinnamon rolls at Meridian with a London fog. I'm not a coffee drinker, but there's a hot tea drink that my friends call an old lady drink, but it's what I got.
Okay.
So I'd start with a London Fog at Meridian and a cinnamon roll at Teal House, and just enjoy the company there and the friends there. Part of what I love about Buda is the cheers feeling of everybody knowing your name.
Yeah.
And so you don't really know where your day goes because you might get invited to do something else as you're hanging out, having your breakfast. So I'd start at Teal House in Meridian and wait for the shops to open and make my way up and down Main Street. And there's some great antique shops, great boutiques, a cigar vault in an old bank that has a really, really cool feeling. If you're into cigars, that's something folks enjoy. And then lots of places to have lunch and dinner, and folks enjoy cocktails outside on plenty of patios. So there's a full day to be had up and down Main Street, Buda.
I love that. What's a place in Buda that makes you go, this is why I live here? This is what really typifies what Buda's all about.
Wow, that's a hard question. I would have to go back to Meridian. Meridian is in our oldest building in Buda. It is on the corner of Main Street and 967. It is an 1898 building.
Okay.
And it was kind of lovingly restored during COVID. And it just feels like you're in downtown Austin. It's a place that you do not expect to see in a community like ours. And it is vibrant and buzzing anytime you're in there, whether it's a 7 a.m., which I often am in there for a meeting, or late in the evening. It's also the home of the Southbound Music Series, so they have a great patio in the back. But it's just gorgeous all around, and lots of folks hang out there, and so it's a really cool place to be, and it's right in the heart of the center of our Main Street.
Are there other buildings around Main Street that are still getting redeveloped at this point? Are there some
There's
older?
a couple of new buildings that are infill buildings. There's one building that had a fire a few years back that is still in the process of renovation, so that should be done soon. There's a few projects that are being completed in the next year or so. I always hate to say construction deadlines because it never seems to be the right date, but there are a few places still left on Main Street. One of the biggest things that's happening on Main Street is the historic train depot. So the Buda EDC brought back the 1884 train depot that had previously been relocated to a ranch outside of San Marcos, and the former owner gave it back to us. We moved it back in November, and we've started a renovation of that project. It's 2,000 square feet, and it will be a retail incubator space. So it will add to that. A year from now, my answer of what you do in Buda is going to start at the depot. Okay. And the depot on Main will have a co-op space where folks can sell their wares, but also individual spaces for businesses to rent and start their retail dreams right there. And we give them a solid foundation, so then they're ready to fly.
We love to talk music. You talk Southbound, the music series you're doing right now. You have South of South by. Right. You have these different events that you're doing. Yeah. Second year for that this year?
Second year, yeah.
Okay. So when you think about Buda, does it have a theme song, or is there an artist or musician that really reminds you of the city?
Oh, man, that's hard. So there's a lot of musicians that call Buda home or have called Buda home over the years. Uncle Lucius lived in Buda for a long time. And so when I was thinking of that for this interview, he has a song called "Keep the Wolves Away," which is not appropriate for Buda at all. It's an Oil Town song, but I really love it, and I love Uncle Lucius. But there's all kinds of folks for Buda, but man, it's hard. It's hard to pick just one thing for Buda, and I love music so much. I spent way too much time trying to answer this question in advance, and so I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail at this one.
You're great.
There's too many. There's so many train things. Partly, the train is why we exist, right? And so I go back to that a lot of, is it, I hear a train a-coming. Do we go back to that? Yeah. Because without that, Buda's not here. Yeah. Buda's not here without a train stop. Buda's not here without its hospitality, without welcoming visitors. So the train is everything to us, and getting that depot back is a huge win. But I don't know. I'm gonna blow the music one. If I can't think of something great, there's too many great ones, and if I could pick the piece of the song, I'd probably get a part of it. But if the whole one doesn't have the whole meaning.
I mean, I've run into a lot of musicians that have moved to Buda, and there's a scene, and I think we talked about this. The Texas Music Office calls Buda a music-friendly city.
Right.
So I assume this music scene is really kind of burgeoning. So people that are coming from Austin, coming from somewhere else, they can go there and they don't have to deal with maybe what 6th Street looks like, or what that all is. They've got a safe place to go, an easy place to get in and out, close parking.
Yeah, there are some great music venues in Buda. There's the oldest bar in Buda is called Willie's Joint. It's been around for a long time, and they do great live music there. There's several restaurants and bars, coffee shops that all have live music components to them. And so, like I said, there's really almost every night you can come across a live music opportunity in Buda. So it's hard to pick just one.
I had this question: if you did 2 truths and a lie about Buda,
yeah,
what would people not expect to know about the city? We were talking about dachshunds earlier, the Wiener Dog Race, which I think is kind of fascinating.
That's definitely probably one. I think people would be surprised to know that Buda is the Wiener Dog capital of Texas. That's probably real surprising if you've never been to Buda. If you've been to Buda, which we often get, folks for site visits and tours, where people go, so what's with all these Wiener Dogs anyway? And we get a chance to explain it. So if you're there, you definitely see the theme of Wiener Dogs. But if you've not been there, you don't really understand that Wiener Dogs are kind of part of everything that we do. So that's fun. That's definitely something people would not suspect, I don't think. And that was started by our Lions Club almost 30 years ago now. And they do that as a big fundraiser. They have scholarships for students and things, and that's how they raise money. Is
they actually race? How does this work?
They actually race Wiener Dogs in almost like a horse racing scenario, where they put the Wiener Dogs in these little chutes, and then the owners go to the other side. My favorite thing is to watch the owners. And the owners stand at the other side with a little squeaky or a ball or whatever, and they call their dogs names, which are always the most ridiculous names you've ever heard, which they should have thought of. If they were going to enter them in races, they should have thought, I'm going to have to yell this publicly. And they do. They stand at the other end, and they call their dog, and they race is a very loose term.
Okay.
Sometimes they make it to the other end of the field. Sometimes they don't. And they go through a series of heats, and, may the best dog win.
It's a war of attrition.
And it is hilarious. It's hilarious. And if you haven't been, you got to go once. You got to go once. It is good, wholesome family fun, and it is a great weekend in Buda. It's the last weekend in April.
Okay.
And it's BudaLions.com. They put it out every year. Their theme is always around a movie of some kind, and this year is Superman theme, and so they call it Wiener Man, and they put a Wiener Dog in a Superman costume, and it's hilarious. But they have costume contests for Wiener Dogs and owners. Folks come from all over the world to race their Wiener Dogs.
Really?
Yeah. They fly in and bring their Wiener Dogs. It's a very serious thing.
I love this.
It's a very serious thing.
Well, let's talk about Buda's history for a second, because I ask the question a lot of times, if you could have dinner with someone alive or dead, tied to Buda, who would it be and why?
Wow. That's tough. There are so many people that I've heard stories about for so long. Some I've had the opportunity to meet. I've been very blessed to get to know some of the landowners. I've been in Buda for 13 years and had the opportunity to meet some of the families that have been there for generations. And that is really a blessing for me to understand their heritage and their commitment to that land. There's some that I haven't been able to meet. And I would say those would be some of the folks that I'd love to hear the stories of, why'd you stop here? Mm-hmm. I mean, they came by wagon train, and why'd you get to this point and kind of stop? Old San Antonio Road was a cattle trail that headed all the way to San Antonio. And there are people who stopped their wagon train right there and set up their world. So I'd love to hear about that. Buda has one of the first freed slave colonies in Texas that is still, it's called Antioch Colony. It's off of Old Black Colony Road. I would love to learn more about that. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of folks left that have that original history. We've tried to do the best we can to preserve some of that history, but that's pretty unique to our community.
True.
There's a woman that wrote a book. Her name's Mrs. Giberson. She wrote a historical book probably 20 years ago. And she did a bunch of research and interviewed a bunch of people. I think it'd be interesting to visit with her, to hear her side of that story too. We have, in the last 2 years, we started a Buda magazine, the EDC, the Chamber, and the City. And we put it out once a year. It comes out in May. Our next one comes out this next month. And part of that has been preserving those stories And that's been a lot of fun, is digging deeper and learning more about the different buildings and things and making sure we're preserving the important parts of our history.
Yeah, the amount of pride and history that I think Budens, am I saying that correctly?
We need to officially vote on something because some people say Budites, and I think that's kind of weird. And some people say Budens, and I think beautiful is pretty good. So I don't know. I use beautiful. I mean, I think that's, I don't know. We need to come up with something better than that.
So we talked earlier, and you told me that before you settled in Buda, you did live in Austin for a brief while.
Yeah.
So a couple questions about Austin, since it is called Austin Eras.
Yeah.
What do you think Buda has that Austin has lost over the years? Where have they kind of stepped in?
Yeah, I'm not a fair person to ask because I'm a small town kid.
Yeah.
So I never really wanted to live in a big city. And so we came to Austin for my husband's job, and knowing we wouldn't ever really be Austinites. Mm-hmm. And that would be kind of our stop on the way to figure out what suburb we would end up in. And I'm just not comfortable in a big city. I like the comfort of knowing my neighbors and knowing my school board members and knowing the mayor. And to me, that's an important part of your community. And you get lost in the big city. And I'm not comfortable there. I love the 21st century modern amenities that Austin offers right in our backyard. So to me, that's the best of both worlds in Buda. I grew up in a town that was hours from anywhere, and even now when people ask me, I say another big town and then say, okay, well then it's an hour from that.
I always love it when people do that.
So it's a really tiny town, and so to have a doctor, world-class medical care, the Moody Center, ABIA, things literally in our backyard, but to have that front porch living in Buda is, to me, the best of both worlds. So I love Austin. Of course, Buda is part of what it is because of the proximity to Austin. You pick up Buda, you plop it down in South Texas, it does not have the same appeal that it has being the first community south of Austin. So I'm keenly aware of that. We are thankful for Austin, and we are thankful to be part of the Austin region, but we are different. Mm-hmm. We're different, and we're okay with that too.
I love this. So you clearly love Buda, but you didn't set out to build a career on this at all.
No, I did not.
I think this is interesting. So let's go way back, because how many people grow up on a Christmas tree farm in South Texas?
Yeah.
You said you and Taylor Swift have that in common?
That's one of the things it's the only thing we have in common. There's nothing else we have in common. But yeah, my dad and granddad had a 400-acre tree farm, and in the early 80s they added cut your own Christmas trees to that.
Okay.
So it's funny to me that Taylor Swift also was on a Christmas tree farm. But I grew up on a tree farm.
And what did that teach you about building something? Because you're clearly building something in Buda.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was as much the tree farm as it was my family. Mm-hmm. So my family was very involved in the community. My grandmother was on the school board. My grandfather was county judge. My dad was really involved. My mom was a teacher. I mean, we were embedded in our community because there were 1,000 people and you had to do everything.
Yeah.
And we were involved in 4-H, and we were involved in the Homemakers Club and everything in between. And I say this often, that part of my problems in life are things that I learned from my grandparents that are positives, but burdens to me, that my grandfather would say, somebody should do something, and I'm somebody. Yeah. And so I hear that in my head often of like, somebody should say something, somebody should do something, somebody should stand up for this, and I'm somebody. I can say something. And it's not always easy to be the person who calls things out, and sometimes it seems like you're pointing out negative things when it's just trying to make us better. And that my grandmother's point was always, bloom where you're planted. If it's good enough for you to live there, you need to contribute something. And what is your something that you're going to contribute? And so those things play over and over in my head of, how are you going to make this place better? It's not enough to just pull in your driveway, close your garage door, and sit and watch TV every day. You have to contribute to your community. And you have that opportunity in small towns, I think, in a way that you don't in larger communities, that you actually get to see the fruits of that labor.
How is that different from where you grew up to where you are now in Buda? How did that change in terms of your community involvement through the years?
It hasn't really. I mean, I was involved in my community. I'm still involved in my community back in South Texas. I still am.
What city?
Fremont. Yep. Okay. So Jim Wells County.
Okay.
So South Texas. Pretty far South Texas, not the valley, but almost.
Okay. So let's go into how you got where you are. So association management, you did a few things in that space. You didn't set out to be a part of Buda at all. How did this become your job?
Yeah. So when we moved to Austin for my husband's job, I stayed in association management, which was kind of my sort of second career path. I started my career in government relations, so political background really, and association management's a lot of political work and a lot of government relations. So I'd done that for a number of years, and so did that work, continued that work in Austin with Texas retailers and similar type organizations, and decided to take contract work. So quit my full-time job, take on some contract work, and take a variety of clients. So I was working from home. And I'm an extrovert, surprisingly. I'm sure that's a surprise to everyone at home. And working alone at home did not work for me.
Yeah.
So as much as I loved not having the commute into Austin, I needed a way to plug back into my community. And so when I started my consulting business, I volunteered to serve on a board in my community, which happened to be the Economic Development Board. And I was already connected and knew some of the folks on city council, and they had asked me, hey, why don't you think about this Economic Development Corporation board? And so I applied for it, and they selected me for it. And so I served on that board for almost 4 years as the chair of that board as a volunteer. But there was lots of things happening where it was really a job. I was spending hours there and kind of keeping office hours while I was maintaining my other clients and things. And when the position became available, some of my fellow board members said, why don't you apply? And I was so worried about doing everything exactly right. I said, it's probably not legal. And our attorney said, it is. We looked it up. It's fine. You just have to resign from the board, apply like everyone else, go meet the requirements, go through the process with the search committee or the search firm. And if you meet them, then, you have to be interviewed by the board, and which is one of the hardest things I've ever done, is being interviewed by people so incredibly intimately.
Yeah, from a peer to...
Right. I mean, you've sat in a room with them for years, and then you walk out of the room and they get to decide if they're going to hire you or not. And so it was a tough decision because I loved my job. I loved the work that I was doing, and I loved my clients, and I didn't really think I would ever go back to an 8 to 5 kind of gig. And I really felt called to do more for my community, and that this was an opportunity to step up and do this in a more full-time kind of way. And so obviously after some soul searching, I decided to apply, and some stars aligned that I happened to, in the past, take all of my courses that were required that just happened to have, right? So it was just kind of crazy that I met them all, and decided to why not give it a try. And honestly, I'm so thankful that my board members saw that in me, because I would have never raised my hand and said, pick me for this. And I think it needed to be someone from the inside to fast track where we are today. It just takes so much time to get acclimated, and I already was.
Yeah, I mean, now you're branded on your bio and everything. Buda's #1 fan, which I love. I mean, if you love economic development, you love your community, how can you not be the #1 fan of that?
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
One story that stuck with me when we chatted the first time before we did this podcast was this moment where in the same week, there's a big HEB project that lands, but there's all this small business incubator. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the dichotomy of two things that seem very different happening in the same week?
Yeah, it's a crazy world. We spend sometimes years working on projects that we can't talk about, and then we announce them, and nothing actually happens because they still have to be built for another couple of years. And though it's something we're very proud of, and it is important to our community, in that case in particular, I was standing with my colleague Jackie, who runs our entrepreneurship program, in a room full of entrepreneurs who just graduated from our incubator program. And they have a pitch night, and they stand on the stage, and they, Shark Tank style, kind of pitch their business. And it's a very supportive environment. And I leaned over and I said, Jackie, nobody cares about my HEB. This is what matters. These people, the lives that this program is changing, this is what we're doing that matters to people in Buda. And economic development mostly focuses on recruitment, and not growing your own. And we try to focus on growing our own. Yes, we do recruitment. Yes, we work with companies overseas, and we help anyone that calls us. But we have got to help our local people first. And we started those programs before we started our recruitment programs. And we're really proud of that.
And HEB is a big deal too.
HEB is a big deal.
I mean, I'm thinking about this and going, economic development is kind of a thankless job at the moment. I think that's what I'm hearing from you. And it's not that you're saying that, but you go close a deal. It's a huge deal. You have your lips shut before that even happens. Then you announce it. And then years later, it's finally built. Maybe you get to the ribbon cutting, and it's happening so many years in advance. So I'm curious a little bit about what that process looks like, because HEB was a $30 million project.
Well, HEB is probably closer to a $100 million project. It's a $30 million remediation project. So basically, HEB bought a landfill.
Okay.
And to remediate the property to get it to net zero is $30 million.
Okay.
So the property could not be used until someone invested $30 million in it. It had sat vacant for years, and it would continue to sit vacant until somebody came along and was willing to invest $30 million. There's very few companies like an HEB who can wait 20 or 30 years to get repaid something on their investment. So when HEB came to us with that, it was kind of a no-brainer to figure out, how do we help them remediate this property, put it back on the tax rolls, and turn this property into sales tax generating, and reactivate that part of town. But that's the land, that's the dirt work. It's $30 million before they build a building. So they
crazy.
Still have to build a building that's probably $70 million. So it's a $100 million project. So our incentive was $20 million between the city, the EDC, the county, and the Emergency Services District, and we all partnered together to make that deal happen.
I can't wait to talk more about Buda and more about where we're going. We're going to go to a break. So if you're enjoying this conversation with Jennifer Storm, make sure to follow and subscribe to Austin Eras wherever you get your podcasts. We're also launching a brand new Austin Eras newsletter. This is where we go deeper with past guests, people you should know, food, events, music around the city and the area, and what's actually happening in the city. So you can sign up at austineras.com or email us at info@austineras.com. We always appreciate any feedback. If you have guest feedback of any sort, we'd like that. And we're starting more live events. The next one is May 14th at Bambino on Springdale Road in East Austin from 5 to 7. We're buying your first drink. We'll have food, and we'd love to see you there.
In every episode of Austin Eras, we uncover the city's history, vibrant present, and bold future. Just like Austin, your financial journey is a story worth crafting. At Collective Advisors, led by Adam Flagg, Managing Partner, Senior Wealth Advisor, and Certified Financial Planner Professional, your story is in skilled hands. From investments to retirement planning, Adam and his team bring together a collective of dependable professionals to help you build, maintain, and enjoy financial security. Start your financial legacy today at collectiveadvisors.com or call 512-467-1923. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
And we're back with the Austin Eras podcast. We have our guest, Jennifer Storm, and we're talking Buda. I also want to talk a little bit deeper than Buda. So you and I share something in common, that we both are trying to go on a quest with our families to go to all 50 states.
Yeah.
I am at state 49. I've been to 50. But my family and I are going to Hawaii soon to finish it off. All four of us, really excited about it. I've seen you've been to 49 states.
I'm 49. I'm missing Alaska.
Okay.
My boys are at 42.
So tell me, and because I've got my own perspective, but what have you learned from seeing so many different communities, and how has that brought back experience to Buda?
Almost every trip I bring something back to Buda. I'm taking pictures, sending things back to folks, and thinking about, well, we could do this there, or why aren't we doing that? But it never started as a work trip. As a matter of fact, I don't write it off. I guess I should do that.
Maybe.
That's a good point. I should maybe consider that. But no, it really was more about my family and exposing them to things that we call it the Buda bubble, because we live in the Buda bubble, and my boys don't like big cities. And so we've done some of the big cities. We've been to New York at Christmas, and we were there for a week, and about day 2, they're like, okay, Mom, can we go back to Buda? I'm like, no, we're here for the week, and they want to go back to Buda, but I want them to see the world and to see what it's like. I only have boys, and so I want them to know that, hopefully they stay in Texas. Like, look, the world's amazing out here, but as long as there's airplanes, you can go see it and come home.
Yeah.
So come home to Texas, So that's part of my pitch always is, yeah, this is cool, but we get to live here and this place is amazing.
It's interesting. All the travels, accents and foods and personalities and way people, the way they carry themselves. The United States has a lot more versatility than I think people think.
Yeah.
And I think we talk about Austin, and there's a lot of versatility across this metroplex as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Buta's got its own personality. And I think one way I think about Buda is it's kind of like a Hallmark movie in a sense. The way that you've described it and the way you felt your passion for it makes me think, wow, this feels like kind of this community I didn't know existed that I could really settle into and enjoy.
There are definitely times of year that feel like a Hallmark movie. 4th of July is one. There's an amazing thing, tradition that we do in Buda that's the kids' bike parade on 4th of July morning, and kids decorate their bikes and walk down Main Street, and it is one of our most favorite traditions. Buda Fest is our Christmas kind of time. It's typically the first weekend in December, and the city of Buda does an amazing job really turning Main Street into Hallmark movies and lights and Santa, and there's an illuminated night parade that it just feels like it's just amazing. This last year we were in the parade for the first time. The EDC was in the parade. One of my coworkers, her dad happened to tell me he bought a trailer, and I was like, Mr. Hollis, can I borrow your trailer? And he's like, for what? And I was like, I want to be in the parade. And he's like, of course. So we were in the parade this year, and it was just amazing to see so many people that we knew and so many people that we don't know. That's always kind of my test of who's coming to this. Are these people are these our neighbors? Or are these folks from out of town? And of course, we run cell phone tracking data, and so we know.
You do?
We do. So we know where people actually come from, and it's a lot of our neighbors that come to be a part of our 4th of July outside of Buda, not just our citizens. And so it's really more than just something for our community, but it feels like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, I love this, and I think probably we owe it to the listener to explain how economic development actually works.
Sure.
I think we all kind of have this basic concept of you're trying to attract employers to your city, you're trying to do something there, maybe offering them some type of incentive. But take us back to ED 101. What does EDC look like?
Sure. So every community is different. Some have economic development corporations. For us, in 2001, the citizens of Buda voted to tax themselves a 0.5-cent sales tax.
Okay.
And that 0.5 cent has to be used on creating economic prosperity. So I have one job. That's it. Create economic prosperity. And what that means is up to interpretation, right? So we get to decide, our board gets to decide what that means and how we actually do that. But those dollars are supposed to be invested in creating economic prosperity. So communities do that in a variety of ways. We do that, as I mentioned earlier, by first investing in our existing businesses and our existing entrepreneurs. That's huge for us. So some of those dollars go to support programs and people that run those programs. Some of that is incentive dollars. We have a small incentive program that is up to $10,000 per business. We've done almost $1 million in small incentives, and I think this will be year 3, it might be year 4, to about 250 businesses. That's amazing. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it's a variety of things. It can be marketing assistance. It can help them with when their air conditioning goes out. It can help with business building, facade improvements, anything in between, workforce development. So business is our job. Our job is to help businesses. And so we look for common denominators. When businesses tell us they're hurting, we try to figure out how to help all of them. We don't just help the one person. We try to, rising tide kind of thing. So an example of that is our Jackie, who runs our business retention program. She meets with businesses. And a few years back, the local businesses kept saying, we need to train our employees for the summer for camps with CPR training. Well, CPR training is pretty expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So now, every summer, the beginning of summer, we pay for a CPR training for Buda businesses to send their employees to make sure everyone's certified that needs to be certified. So that's not a cost that their business has to bear. We pay for it for them, and it's open to every Buda business. But that's something that we can do to help. It's a small thing, but by combining our resources, we're able to help more businesses. So incentives are the thing most people, hear about, and sometimes people are concerned about incentives, but most incentives aren't paid if they don't earn them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's rules and requirements around them that in the HEB deal, we were just talking about that. If they don't build that store, we don't pay their incentives. Why wouldn't we partner on a deal that we make sure we get the building first?
And incentives bring jobs to the area.
Absolutely.
And I think one thing that's really key is not being just a bedroom community to Austin, because being able to have jobs, life, all of it revolve around Buda makes your city so much more attractive for those residents to be there.
Well, right. And we need people there during the day to shop at the stores and eat at the local establishments. So that's part of my mission personally, is I feel like I don't want to bring in jobs that we have to import talent. I want jobs for the folks that already live in Buda. We have a highly educated population. We just need opportunity for them there. And every job that we bring, every company that we've brought, the last two big announcements we've had, Perseus Defense, we announced at the end of 25, and then Terra Firma just a couple of weeks ago. Those jobs average over $100,000 a year. That's double what we had last year.
That's
double.
Amazing, really.
I mean, the folks that I'm talking to now are $30,000 more than that. And every phone call, it just is pushing us forward, more and more. And so my kids, your kids, everyone's kids can come back and stay there and afford to live there and have jobs there. And that's important to me. It's not just jobs. We're not just checking a box to say, yeah, there's jobs and they pay $15 an hour. That's not what we're doing. We're creating careers and prosperity for people. And it takes incentives to do that sometimes. And we talk about in the incentive world, but for this incentive, you're not bringing your business here. Yeah. We're not standing at the Buda city limits line throwing money out people. We're not doing that. We talk to people. We make sure this is a real deal. We make sure that they're actually considering us. We work with them to make sure it's the right fit, it's the right industry. Everything we do is data-driven and focused on the future.
It's a real partnership is what
Absolutely.
I'm hearing. Now, tell me a little bit more about Perseus and Terra Firma.
Sure.
I want people to understand the types of businesses that are choosing Buda.
Yeah, Perseus is an aerospace and defense company that's an anti-drone technology company. So basically, they are knocking drones out of the sky.
Okay.
I mean, my layman's terms, half of these meetings I'm under the table Googling words because I don't totally understand, and they're all half my age, So I'm trying to make sure I understand things as they go. But it does not, they're not shooting things down. They basically are using missile-guided rockets to hit a drone out of the sky. So they started June of 25, and they're former NASA actual rocket scientists. And they got into a program in San Francisco called Y Combinator. It is one of the top
It's huge.
accelerator programs in the world. It's kind of like Capital Factory. And when you graduate Y Combinator, you graduate with venture capital dollars and a mentor that could be a investor in Airbnb or Instacart, or a founder in a company that you would know their name, and they are your mentor, and you come with a stamp of approval. And they graduated from that program in August, September. We met them in October. They signed a lease in November, and they were in Buda the week of Christmas, in their space the week of Christmas.
They move fast. Yeah.
Fast. They introduced us to Terra Firma.
They did. And when Perseus came to us, Perseus came to me, part of economic development is trying to be in the right place at the right time, meet the right people, make sure you have the right connections. And there's so many conferences and so many magazines and places you can advertise, and it's hard to discern what the right investment is for your community. And we don't do a lot of them because we just don't feel like that's the right place for us to be. Perseus came to me from a commercial real estate broker that lives one street over from me in my neighborhood. Love the connection.
I mean, her daughter and my son were in class together for years. And she called me and said, "Hey, I have a prospect for you. Can you talk to him?" Sure. And I talk about that a lot because people don't realize the power that they have in their connections.
That's it, yeah.
And it could be somebody you went to dental school with. One of our dentists brought us a prospect that she's like, my college roommate is looking. People can be their own advocates for their community, and we've really benefited from that. And so Megan Flake is a realtor, a commercial realtor in Buda, and she brought us Perseus. And she and I worked together to get that deal done, and I'm really, really proud of that. And it's a startup, and some folks see those as risk. And I, what if it fails? Well, I see it as what if it doesn't? But also, what if they put us on a map in a different way? And they have absolutely done that. Since Perseus announced, we announced Perseus, I think, November. Since Perseus announced, my number 2 LinkedIn searches are San Francisco.
Really?
I don't know anybody in San Francisco. Nobody.
And
no people.
Y Combinator, it's the publicity of what's happened. They go, why did they choose Buda?
Yeah. And I get these phone calls and they say, hey, I hear you helped my friend. And when I say, who's your friend? And they tell me it's Jason or Steve from Perseus. And I go, okay, what do you need? How can I help you? And so Terra Firma was the next one of those. And there's more. There's more in line. So we hope that we can provide them a unique type of support that they're not going to get in other communities, and a type of speed. That Terra Firma deal, they had to have a speed to market. And the city of Buda, I'm really proud of our partnership with them. And we basically, had a meeting with the city engineer and said, this is what they need. Can you do it? And if you can't, that's okay, but we have to send them down the road. And she said, we can absolutely do it. And they didn't only do it, they blew it out of the water. I mean, which I kept telling them, they told you they'd have it by Tuesday. You got it on the Thursday before.
Yeah.
I told you we were going to do things different here, right? I told you that, right? And he's like, I know. Okay. We're going to keep our word and we're going to do what we said. So we try to do things different, and we try to show them that we do care about their business, and it means a lot to us to have them here.
There's a lot of great cities surrounding Buda and the Austin area. I mean, we Pflugerville, Bastrop, Kyle, San Marcos, New Braunfels, Temple. We've got these cities that are popping up, getting great deals, doing good things. Are you guys arm wrestling and fighting and saying, hey, I want this in my city and not your city? I mean, what does it look like for the region when it comes to development?
No, I don't see it that way. I mean, Lockhart's also doing amazing things. We have a good partnership with Lockhart. So we're part of a regional economic development partnership called Hayes Caldwell Economic Development Partnership that represents Hayes and Caldwell counties and all the municipalities in those regions. And full disclosure, I'm on the board there, so I am a fan. But we are of course the southern counties south of Austin, and so our goal is to keep things in that region. And so there are times where I don't have a place for something that I'm introducing them to my friends and neighbors. And I mean, I talked to Holly and Lockhart last night. I mean, we communicate regularly, and we don't see it that way. Of course, we are all very competitive people, and we want to bring home the wins, and that's part of our job. But if we don't have the space, we don't have the space. And I would not be doing a service to any of these businesses if I set them up for failure. So if we're not the right fit, we want to pass them along to a place that's the right fit. So I'm probably too direct in some cases, but I tell people all the time, I'm going to tell you fast if this isn't going to work for us. And I'm just going to be as honest with you as I can, because time matters. And I would rather tell you no fast so you can move on and find another place, and I'll introduce you to our friends down the road.
I want to talk about you for a second, because you've done some pretty amazing things in a short time. How long have you been at the Buda EDC now?
About 3.5 years.
So you were named Economic Developer of the Year from this international organization. You go to DC. I see there's senators and Congress people and big organizations being recognized at this event. It's interesting to me. I mean, at a time when this region's exploding in growth, you're the first Texan. I mean, there's a lot of Texas places that are blowing up and doing amazing things. What do you think people outside of Texas are seeing in Buda that maybe people here haven't fully recognized yet? Because you won this award, they definitely knew what you're doing, and they know what's happening in Buda.
So I think my team applied for this award for me without telling me.
Okay.
So I still have never actually read the application, and I'm kind of scared because I asked them, but did you lie though? And they're like, we did not lie. Everything we said was true. I think in an application like that, to be able to condense down several years worth of work into a few pages, it makes a very impactful story. And I know they did a great job, because they're an amazing team. But it's hard when you're in it every day to realize where you came from, to realize where you were 3 years ago and 5 years ago, to know how important every little step is toward the future. And I think stopping and looking back toward that, this has made me do that. I hate every second of this. I just hate it. I hate the attention.
Spotlight's on you right now.
I know. I feel it. And I didn't want to go. I was a little. I still honestly don't know what to say about it because I didn't do anything. I feel like my job is to support them and to stand in front of them and, steer the ship and take the bullets. And that's it. Otherwise, I'm just supporting their ideas and making sure they have the resources that they need and helping where they need my help. I don't know that that's anything unique. I think everybody I know that's doing this work is doing the same thing. I'm not trying to discredit it at all. And I'm so incredibly thankful. I honestly, to me, what meant the most was that they even thought that I could get it, that they applied me for it, whether I got it or not. The fact that they had fake meetings for months filling out this paperwork. They solicited nomination, letters and things from people. They when they told me that I got it, I was actually on my way to a funeral back home in South Texas, and Shannon on my team kept texting me like, "Hey, I need you to call me. Hey, I need you to call me." And she never really does that. And so I called and she said, "We need to talk to you. Hold on. Let me get everybody." And she adds everyone to the line. And she's kind of does this roll call. "Okay, John, are you there? Okay, Jackie, are you there?" And she's like, "You're going to be mad." I was like, "Is everyone quitting? Like, what's happening?"
Group quit.
What's happening? What's going on? I was like, "Do I need to turn around and come back?" I'm like, "Nope, you're on your way to a funeral. You're fine. We have to tell you something." And so they said, "We nominated you for this award." And I said, "That's really sweet of you. I'm sure I didn't get it. And I appreciate the thought. Thank y'all for letting me know." And they're like, that's not what happened. Like, "Wait, what do you mean that's not what happened?" They said, No, you actually got it. It's like, "Wait, what?" So I still am just in awe, and I still don't know what to say, but I'm most proud of my team, and I'm most proud of my board for supporting the vision that I've laid out. But it has given us the opportunity to stand here and turn around and look back and see how far we've come.
Yeah.
And what we've been able to do in a small town. You don't get to do these kind of things in a small town. You don't get to build this kind of team in a small town. I have 6 people on my team. I mean, I have the resources I need because my board believes in the vision that we have. And when I go to them and say, "I need more support," they say, "Absolutely, here you go." Because we have results and we're doing the things that we're supposed to do to create economic prosperity.
Yeah. Well, it's not just great for you, it's great for the community. It shines an even brighter light on Buda.
That's exactly right. That was why I said I got to say Buda in the Library of Congress. And that to me was like the coolest thing,
I love this. I think that for people listening that maybe aren't just listening for Buda, maybe there's some aspiring economic developers out there. Or maybe there's someone like the Miss Flake that is the commercial realtor that told you about Perseus. Because you came into this and obviously you're quite good at it. You found this career. It's maybe a second career for you. What are some pieces of advice of why you think that you might be a naturally good fit for economic development?
I love people and relationships and connections. And I think that is part of it is I'm naturally a connector of, I don't know everything, but I know somebody that does. So you have to have those relationships. I think to Megan's credit of just asking questions like, "I don't know what you can do for them, but can you talk to them and just see?" And I would love to have that conversation with everybody's clients. Tell me what you're talking about. Tell me what you're thinking. Let me tell you. I'll tell you if we can't. I will tell you that too. But let's talk about it. So having enough relationship with people that you can make that phone call to begin with, that is important. So creating relationships, getting out from behind the computer, going and meeting people, that has to happen or no one will ever even know to call you.
Yeah. I want to talk, I want to put on my journalist hat and ask you some tough questions for a second. So, I mean, the reality is a lot of the suburbs surrounding Austin still have a lot of traffic, a lot of growth, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
How do you sit on this side of probably old Buda and new Buda with this kind of clashing of, hey, this is good for us, but also maybe your lifestyle is going to change a little bit? What's that challenge look like?
Oh, it's hard. It is hard. It is definitely a challenge. Part of our problem is the things that happen to us, right?
Yes.
So because of our proximity, the traffic that we have that comes through our town is not traffic we created.
Yeah.
So some of the traffic that I create, right, that I'm a part of, yes, let's build this here, yes, let's put this here, is adding to traffic I didn't create.
I've cut through Buda before to get to 35.
See,
Sorry.
you're part of the problem.
Sorry.
You're part of the problem. Just stop and leave some sales tax dollars, and it's all okay.
All right, fair.
So that's part of the challenge, is that the things we can't control definitely impacts the things that we can control. So people feel the traffic. They don't know that that car came from San Antonio or San Marcos or Kyle, or, they just see the traffic. And anything we do adds cars. Yeah. And we, as an economic development corporation, we don't build roads. So I can't come in and say, I'm going to build a road here first. Now we can help with the city and the county and TxDOT and try to get those things going. But roads are a long-term project. So it's not easy. It's part of why it's important to employ the local people and not have to import talent, right? If you're already living there, it's trying to get people in the reverse flow of traffic. If I can minimize the number of people driving into Austin, that takes them out of that flow already. So that things kind of check multiple boxes to me. Is the more local jobs we have, the less people that are getting in the flow and all going, the same way in the same, 35 traffic or 1626 traffic. That's important. But messaging and marketing and communication is important to me too. That if we can't communicate what we're doing, if we can't put it on the front page of the newspaper, we should not be doing it.
Okay. That's fair.
We shouldn't. If we can't say it in a way that people understand it, then it's not a project that is the right fit for us.
I want to pivot to the future. I've read in researching Buda and maybe reading some quotes from you that Buda is 90% built out. So what does that actually mean, and what does it mean for the Economic Development Corporation?
Yeah, that's my back of the napkin math, that just, based on the land that's available, there's not a lot of land left. So what it means to me...
Is that residential and commercial?
It's just land.
Land.
It's just what's left is land. Some of it is in the ETJ, so it's not zoned yet. And so depending on who buys it and what they want to do with it, they have to work with the city on the zoning of that. But there's not big swaths of land. I think the biggest piece of land we have is probably 100 acres, and there's one of those. Okay.
So you have borders. You don't really...
Yeah, we're landlocked.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of pieces of land left. What we have left, there's challenges to it. There's a reason that it's still left, and either it's really not for sale. The family doesn't want to sell it, or maybe it doesn't have utilities yet. So some of those things we are trying to address to activate those properties. We at the EDC use a term called carefully curated. That's kind of our way of saying we have to make the right choice. Yeah. So we have one chance to get it right. And I don't take that lightly. So when a business comes in and they say, we want to put this here, and I don't know. I don't think that's not the right thing for that. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the city's comp plan. Let's look at the future land use plan. Let's kind of think about what this should be, and then use incentives to help make it the right project for our community so that everybody benefits and gets the right thing, generating sales tax, creating jobs. All of those things are part of the puzzle for us. So we don't just say yes to everything. In fact, I feel like really most of my job is defense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd ask you, what's the next big win that you want for Buda? Is there some tech sector or some certain type of thing that you want Buda to win on?
Yeah. To me, the big wins are a series of little wins.
Okay.
So I want 10 more Perseus and terra firmas. So we don't have the space to have a Samsung or, a Tesla, and we just don't. But what we do have is a space for the suppliers and the supply chain for both electric vehicle manufacturing, semiconductor, kind of everything in between, and now aerospace and defense. So several more companies of 25 to 50 to 100 employees that are over $100,000 in wages all day long. I mean, that's the phone calls I'm taking all day long. And that is a win for us. We also diversify our experience, right? Because otherwise something happens politically.
Yeah.
If all you had was one giant insert something political here, factory, it's over.
Yeah. And
then what do you do?
Diversification is very important, it sounds like, with economic development.
It is. And it's I don't know. I tell folks all the time, like, wouldn't you rather be a big fish in a small pond? Like, you're going to get attention from us that you're not going to get in a bigger community, because we work with our businesses. We treat our businesses in a way, we help them. We nominate businesses for awards. We advocate for businesses. I don't say I'm Buda's number one fan. I am Buda's number one fan. And I am out there trying to find opportunities to get attention for our businesses, not just for us, not just for what we're doing. That's not what's important to me. It's important to help our businesses get the attention they need to grow their businesses, because that creates economic prosperity.
Well, let's look at the future. What's Buda look like in 10 to 15 years if everything goes right to plan?
Well, it's this perfect balance, right? Of like this small, unique, locally owned businesses, of the retail and the restaurants that populate our main street today, but that they are wildly successful because there are daytime populations and there are folks there that can eat lunch there and eat dinner and take clients out because they live and work in the same place.
That's great. I can just imagine the destination that it continues to become over time.
I mean, it's a crazy dream, but I mean, I would love half of Buda to live in, half of the folks that live in Buda to work in Buda.
Yeah.
I think that's a 5-year reasonable goal. I think 15 years, it's 75%. I mean, I want a place that our kids can come back and work. I want a place that is full of opportunity, that, people want to be there. It's exciting. There's things happening on the weekends. There's things that, people want to do, places people want to eat. That's important too. I mean, that's all part of it, right? So, I mean, you asked earlier, what is economic development? Well, it's a little bit of everything. If you don't have the tourism aspect of it, if you don't have well-maintained parks, if you don't have activities, people don't want to live there. If you don't have great schools, people don't want to live there. And we have great schools.
Buda is a hidden gem, and you're shining a light on it today. So for someone listening in Austin or anywhere in this metro who hasn't really thought twice about Buda, I think you've learned plenty in this. But my final question is, why should they care about what's happening here? Why Buda versus all the other cities? What's your selling point? What's your final pitch to someone that's coming to Buda and you're trying to close them?
Buda is ready today. We have available space today. Other communities don't have that, and we won't always have that either. But today we're ready. I can talk to somebody today and I can move them in on Monday. We're ready. We've got available product on the ground. We've got product in line. We are ready to welcome business with open arms. Our city staff is best around. They are ready to work with business and make sure that they get the service that they need to get open. And I think we are business friendly in a way that folks can count on, and give us a try. I think they need to know that our workforce is the same workforce as Austin. I mean, it's naive to think that if you're willing to drive from Buda to Austin, why wouldn't you be willing to drive from Austin to Buda? You're going the opposite way of traffic. You have a less commute to go from Austin to Buda. You have the same talent pool.
That's true.
And by the way, your rent's less.
I'm sold.
Thanks.
Sold.
Sign up.
The story of this region isn't just happening in one place anymore. And I think the magic of Austin, there's magic in other places. So the communities around it are really the ones building with intention. They have more upside than sometimes what we have in Austin. So Jennifer Storm, thank you for helping us see that. Thanks for joining the show. I hope you've enjoyed your time on Austin Eras. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone out there. Jennifer Storm, the CEO of the Economic Development Corporation. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Austin Eras, featuring Adam Flagg, is brought to you by Collective Advisors. Collective Advisors offers investment advisory services through CWM LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Guests on Austin Eras are not affiliates of CWM LLC, and opinions expressed by guests may not reflect those of CWM LLC. This show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal, tax, or other professional advice. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a qualified professional.